Ghost is one of the best platforms for independent bloggers and publishers to offer paid subscriptions for their content. And one of the best incentives for people to upgrade to a paid membership is to get access to a private podcast. Already, there are publishers using Ghost like Tangle, Lever News, 404 Media, Platformer that use private podcasts as one of the key membership benefits folks get when they become a paying subscriber. But up until now, it's been difficult for Ghost publishers to seamlessly integrate their memberships with the private podcast. Now there's an official integration between Ghost, the publishing platform, and Transistor, the podcast hosting platform. Let me show you how it works. All right, on the Transistor side, you're going to create a private podcast. You can do that by going to My Podcasts, clicking Add a Podcast, and then going down here to configure a private podcast. You also need to have your site set up on Ghost with some membership tiers. I have a website set up for the Wolverines Hockey Club. They want to give people a reason to subscribe and pay. So what would they pay $10 a year for? Well, in this case, they think a private podcast is the answer. So what I've done over in Transistor is I've set up the private podcast for the Wolverines. Over here on Ghost, all I need to do is head over to the settings section, find the integrations way down here, and you'll notice there is an official Transistor integration right here. We're going to click on that, and it's going to allow us to enable the Transistor integration. We're going to head over to Transistor, and we're going to go to the Integrations tab, and you'll notice right at the top we have the Ghost integration. I'm going to start by pasting in that Ghost API key that I got from here, and I'm going to copy the API URL as well. Now, before I connect to Ghost, I just want to show that I currently have one subscriber here on Transistor. And over here in Ghost, I already have a number of free members and a few paid subscribers already. All right, so back in Transistor, when I click Connect to Ghost, it's going to start syncing all of these members that I have here in Ghost with my private podcast here on Transistor. So it's going to bring in everybody I have here listed as a member in Ghost into Transistor. Okay, Ghost membership tiers are imported. Now it's ready to do the import. And at this point, I can choose who gets access to this private podcast. Do I want it to be all members, paid members only, or specific member tiers? I'm going to choose paid members only. Update and sync members. And this is going to sync anyone who is a paid member in Ghost with the paid private podcast here on Transistor. So you'll see we've synced 2 Ghost members. All right, so far we've set up the integration, and the members from Ghost are being synced with the subscribers on the private podcast in Transistor. This is perfect. This means that anybody that signs up for the paid membership tier on my Ghost site will automatically get access to the private podcast on Transistor. But it gets even cooler. Let me show you some things you can do on the Ghost side. So the first thing we'll do is let's sign in as a paid member. So I'm just going to log in as a paid member on the Ghost site. And on almost every Ghost site, once you log in, you get this account button up here. Look what happens when you click on the account button now. Previously, all you would see is your account information. But now you can also highlight one of the benefits to their paid account, this private podcast. I can click on this and I can instantly get access to the private podcast. I can add it to my podcast player. I can also scan this QR code and it will open up this landing page on my phone, which allows me to add the podcast to any of the apps I use here on my phone. So if I listen on Spotify, I can click here, or I can add it to Apple Podcasts like this, just follow it. And now I'm listening to the members only podcast on my favorite podcast app. So that's pretty cool, but there's a lot more that you can do. So heading back to Ghost now, let's say I want to highlight the private podcast for members. So I'm going to open up this post here. And down here, I have this little line that says, you can subscribe to the Wolverines member podcast for the latest news, games, recap, etc. I'm going to go /transistor. And now this transistor embed shows up. And it puts in an embed for member-only podcasts here. And I get to define the visibility, who gets to see this embed, free members, paid members, etc. So I'm just going to update this. And when we view it, I see the Wolverines members only podcast here. And I can, again, add it to Apple Podcasts. I can listen to Spotify. I can copy the RSS feed. So when you've got a membership perk like private podcasts, it makes sense to highlight it whenever you can. Like, hey, this is a big reason you're paying for the membership. Let's get you access to the private podcast. Let's get you adding it to your podcast player. Now let's see what this embed looks like when I sign out. So I'm going to click sign out, and I'm going to go back into this post. Because I'm not signed in as a free or paid member, I don't see the private podcast embed. Let's see what happens when a free user signs up. Now I'm signed in as a free user, but you'll notice that when I scroll down, I don't have access to the private podcast. So what the free member sees in this case is a call to action to sign in or upgrade to access private podcast feeds. One reason I'm really excited about this is I was a member of a lot of these publications on Ghost, and I wanted to make it easier for paying members to get access to their private podcast. And now with this Ghost integration, you can do all sorts of cool things. For example, Ghost now has these welcome emails, which allows you to welcome your paid members. So now you can show them right away what perks they get with their membership. Right here, I could have a link to the member-only podcasts. So now when a new member signs up for the paid membership, they get a welcome email, and right in the welcome email, they get an immediate benefit. Access that private podcast you've been hearing about. They click on the link, and now they can add it to their favorite podcast player right here in Ghost. This Ghost Transistor integration also creates a sync between your members on Ghost and what's happening on Transistor. So let's say that one of those paying members stops paying. What happens then? Well, let's say that this person here stops paying. Let's remove their membership. I'm just going to go right in here, and I'm going to actually delete this member just to show you what happens. Let's say that they canceled. Back in Transistor, we refresh this page here, and that subscriber has been removed from this private podcast. This is huge because now you can use your member list in Ghost as the source of truth for your private subscribers in Transistor. Any changes you make to your subscribers in Ghost will get reflected in Transistor. This includes giving people free complimentary memberships in Ghost. So in this case, if I give John access to a paid subscription, he'll automatically get added as a subscriber to the private podcast in Transistor. Let's go through another scenario. Let's say that I want to give all of my free subscribers access to the private podcast. I've changed my mind. Anybody that signs up for my free email list now gets access to the private podcast on Transistor. Well, to do that, we'll just head back to Transistor. We'll go to the Integrations tab. And now we're going to change access so that all members get access to the private podcast. We're going to update that, and you can see it's now syncing 7 Ghost members, including free and paid, over here in the private podcast. The other cool thing about this integration, especially in terms of delivering ongoing value to your members, is we will email them every single time you publish a new episode in Transistor. Let me show you how this works. So back in Transistor, I'm going to actually publish an episode now. I've got one here in draft. It's the Wolverines versus the Pigeons game recap. I've already got the audio file here, and I've got the episode email notification set up here, Wednesday game recap. I'm going to save and publish this right now. All right, so I've published the episode. Now Transistor is going to send all of my members that have access to the private podcast an email saying, hey, there's a new episode. And there it is. In this subscriber's email, open it up. Here is the Wolverines versus Pigeons showdown. I can actually play this episode in my browser and listen right here if I want.
It's Wolverines game day!
I can even view all of the episodes that have been published for members so far. Or if I want to, I can listen in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, wherever I get my podcasts. I think offering a private podcast as a paid membership perk is one of the best ways to monetize your content. Already we're seeing Transistor and Ghost customers like Lever and 404 Media offer private podcasts as an incentive for people to become paid members. And now with the official integration between Ghost and Transistor, we've made it easier than ever to onboard new paying members into your private podcast. And we've made it easier to disable access to the private podcast once somebody cancels their subscription. If you want to learn more about Ghost, head to ghost.org. And if you want to try out what I think is the best private podcast publishing platform, head over to transistor.fm. We'll host all of your podcasts, your public podcasts and your private podcasts. Just head over to our homepage and you'll get a 14-day free trial.